crap. That was unexpected. Hello, welcome to the Chatting with Dr. Stevel show. I'm your host, Dr. Stevel. Today's guest is an author, host, mentor, blogger, coach, and the man behind the Hero Mission, Mr. Mike Piquet. Welcome to the show.
Well, it's good to be on the show, even though it's an evil show.
It is quite evil, yeah. I have a problem with your Heroes Initiative. Yeah, we don't need more heroes.
But we certainly don't need more villains.
We don't need that song. Yeah, we don't.
You're a great karaoke. We have to do Dr. Stevel karaoke one night.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Criminal Minds is all I ever know. They tried to reform me, but I said no.
So how are you, Doctor? It's been a long time since I've seen you in person. It's odd not having cons to go to right now.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty weird. I like the haircut, though. We have 8 people watching. Wow. There's about, okay, all you people watching that are on the Stevel page, if you just want to click on the Facebook and go to Chatting with Dr. Stevel, then I can see your comments and you can type in hello, how are you, or you guys are great, or we don't like you. And if you do that, I won't show it. But and then I can see all your comments, and that'll be more fun. And the people that are on Chatting with Dr. Stevel, say a little hello, let us know you're there.
Oh my gosh, this is really cool.
Yeah, wow, you're darker. You're looking more ominous than I am. It's like your light.
I know. I think it's something to do with my. Hold on a second. I have to figure this out here.
Is it the glare from your head?
It might
glare
be.
From his head.
Might be just that.
The computer's trying to compensate, right? Because it's the glaring coming down, and then it's like, whoa, too much. So we got to like darken this thing up a bit.
I think I figured it out. I think it's just the. Yeah. I think we should be good there.
All right, Lauren Elizabeth. She's the first one. Okay, hello, there we go.
Elizabeth.
Hello, Lauren Elizabeth. Can you see my comments now? Yes, I can.
I can see
and
them.
We're showing them to you. So the people that are on the Stevel page. Yeah. How about now? How about now? Now, can we see him? Lauren is fantastic. She's a great part of the comic book community. You've probably seen her many times. She's just one hell of a energetic person.
Excellent. I probably know Lauren. I seem to know.
This just might become the Lauren show.
I seem to know a ton of people. We are a lovely.
You stopped.
Community
you
until there's a little bit of divide, and then it all falls. Yeah. Sorry. It's this. Yeah. Let's see now. I think that's better.
Okay. Yeah. We're not going to get anywhere.
No, it's good having you.
Sorry. Anyways, I've seen you at cons. The first time I met you was in Burlington Toy Show when you were representing or the handler for the Canadian heavyweight champion, Ray Alubawali.
Yeah, Ray Alubawali. Yeah, that was that was years ago, but that was a lot of fun. He played the Axeman in 2 of the Resident Evil movies. Plus, right? He's still the current Canadian heavyweight champion. He's on his third. It's his 3rd time holding the belt.
Still.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. And that guy, Canadian heavyweight champion, 6'7", one of the nicest people I have met.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's absolutely fantastic. I got to figure out why this is giving me so many headaches here. This light, this light thing is just driving me nuts. I think it's because the, Anyways, I'm having technical difficulties on my end, and I apologize.
I know I still got power in my evil lair, dude. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I need to have light on, but the fan not moving. It seems to be. Yeah, we're doing some technical changes back down here because this.
Yeah, this is like my witness protection thing. This man Mike Pickett here is witnessing for the Ghislaine Maxwell case. That's why we're keeping his face blocked out. Oh, oops!
You just blew your cover. There when Jeffrey Epstein was having his last meal.
Yeah, but we just blew your cover. Sorry about your suicide next week.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Alrighty. Let me see if I can do some mojo here to get some more light. Yeah.
There's my friend Karen from Vancouver.
This would be awesome if I had that light thing I wanted to get from Amazon. There we go. Let's see if
I think we'll spend the next hour just readjusting the light and me making fun of you for doing it. And then I guess we'll just get Lauren to keep commenting.
Too. We could always do that. It's just me. Yeah. You making fun of me. And this is just I do apologize for this, Dr. Stiebel. It's part of, I guess, the growing pains of, going through this stuff.
It's actually me doing it. You know, I'm just messing with your camera because you're claimed to be a hero and we don't need another one.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. All righty.
Hello from the Martian. We have fans from Mars. How's it going, you guys?
Awesome. Yeah, I'm
not sure we're briefly talking about. Yeah, we're briefly talking about Ray and how great, nice person he is, and how he loved my character, and he kept trying to break me, and he would keep laughing, even when he was dressed up as the Axeman back in Niagara Falls. I got him chuckling a few times.
Was quite. Yeah, we've had. It's so amazing, right? Like, it's just I go back and look at some of the old pictures and think of some of the old memories from some of the conventions, and it's just been a blast. Like, it's so hard to not have conventions right now, to not be able to go and be with that kind of community. Even though I think that as years go by, it seems to me like the community is starting to get a little bit more divided than when I first joined it. It seemed like everybody was trying to get along, and now everybody's sort of, as happens across the world, it seems, people are just drawing lines in the sand, and you know, it's weird. I mean, there's some cons I just avoid because it just seems like it's DramaCon 2000.
Right. No, when I first got in, it was a fantastic community. It's like, oh my gosh, these people, they like sci-fi, they like comic books, they like all this geek stuff like me. And when I went out as Dr. Evil and chatted to these people, everybody was fantastic. And we all became friends. We all had the same laughs. But now lately on Facebook, people are political, but they don't want to talk anymore. It's you think my way or it's the highway, or I will destroy you. And I know they're more evil than evil. Like I'm whimsical evil. Hello, or make you laugh. Yeah, take 10, but
well, it's interesting. It's having this conversation. Sorry, go ahead. My apologies.
I was babbling, so I forget where I'm at when I'm babbling like that.
It's all good. It's an interesting because the community from somebody who's like I'm in my late 40s, and so I've been collecting comics. I've been reading comics for over 40 years. Since I was like 6, 7 years old, I started reading comics. And it always seemed to me that growing up, it was the community that was about inclusion, because we read sci-fi stories, so we didn't care. Like, we read stories about aliens and people with different skins and 3 heads and robots, and it was like we were the community who was open to anybody. And now it seems like the community is really starting to get this weird divide to it. That kind of frightens me too a little bit, because it always seemed to be the place where you should have been able to come and just be yourself. Like, it's odd. It's a really odd place we're in right now. And I think that I see some of the people who just it's well, I mean, I've seen some recent interactions with people on social media. I've seen some of the DramaCon stuff that you've been involved with, and just like, and it's nothing you've done. It's just like, okay, I want to ask a question about why this is happening, and then people are like, well, oh my gosh, you're asking a question.
Yeah, you froze up.
well, you're this weird platform to be on.
Well, yeah. Lately, yesterday, I don't really want to bring it up, but the guy tried to discredit me and slander me. You're about my age, right? So this is our thinking. Some people were arrested for vandalizing a statue, right? I'm not sure who it was. I think it was Ryerson, but I didn't really read. But I just read the article and found out the ages. It was like late 40s, 30s, and I'm like, wow. I'm disappointed that people my age would stoop to doing something like that. Childish. I expected people younger to do it. And all you younger people, no, don't take it personally. It's just that you have more energy, right? People like my age, like, yeah, screw that. I'm gonna go take a nap. But I just pointed out on that, and then some guy says, "Why are you defending a racist statue?" I go, "I'm not. I'm just like upset that these guys are doing this." And everything I said, he just like started throwing accusations at me. And I avoided that totally, just saying that he's that guy, the guy that he is being right at the moment. And then he posted on his site slandering me. Don't be friends with Stevel because he's defending racism, and which is not true. So me looking at that, going, I was just going to let this go. But if you want to slander me publicly, I put it on my page. I mean, I'm gonna call you out because what you're doing is you're trying to bully me on something that you made up. You filled in the blanks because all I did was saying these adults my age are acting like children, and I was disappointed. That was my whole comment. I don't really care if you want to take down statues or not. Do it legally. Just stop acting like children. That was my take on it. And if it bothered this person, that's his problem now. But that's the biggest drama.
It's such a place filled with drama we live in right now. Yeah, I mean, we could go on for days and days about all the divide and all the drama, and there's other. I mean, it's just I just joined the community to have some fun because I love superheroes and sci-fi, and I wanted to have some laughs, and I got a group of friends that like every year for Fan Expo. Fan Expo to me now has become this place where I go and hang out in this building for 3.5 days, and it's okay now. Like, it's now becoming more stars who I don't know, more artists who I don't know, there's so many fandoms and so much geekiness going on nowadays that I'm like totally like celebrities could get on an elevator with me now and I wouldn't know. And it's really become for me just that, like, once Fan Expo is like done for the day, like, hey, it's 9 o'clock, we're closing the doors, kicking everybody out. It's that time with a group of friends that I always go with every year, sitting on a patio and, hey, what did you see? What Q&A did you go to? And just catching up and spending that time together. And I love that about the community, right? It's just like taking like all the politics and all the drama and all the left and this and that, and just boiling it down to like, oh my gosh, I met the guy who plays the Flash today, and then I got this autographed issue. John Byrne autographed my issue of Supergirl, and I ran into Ed Greenwood, and I played Dungeons and Dragons, and oh my gosh, look at this crazy cool cosplay people I found and I took pictures of, and that to me is like, it's my weekend away. I don't want to get a walk. It's like my big weekend every year away, and I don't want to get in that, like, well, if you're saying this is okay, then this is how you feel, and this is like, and oh, you said that, so you must mean this, and I don't want to play those games. I want to just like, I just want to be a kid and have fun, and I want to just smile and feel like just that I'm surrounded by my people, and my people are come in all different shapes and sizes and age categories and preferences, and like, I don't care. Yeah, I don't care where you come from or who you are or how much money you make or your orientation sexually or what you identify as. I just want to hang out with some fun people, have some laughs, and share some geeky moments with people.
Cool costumes. I don't care if they look like spot on, which is normally great, but some of the funniest and decent costumes are just made of simple cardboard that people just try and make. And I'm like, that's impressive. Because I have a problem gluing two pieces of paper together to make it fit. So my skills are really bad. So anybody that can come up with the costumes or anything or simple to complex, I'm impressed with. I just liked that playful atmosphere. I think it's fantastic. I really enjoyed it going there.
I don't know if
and
I
I
want
just
to
walk
hear about
around and
how much.
I just walk around and pretend to be someone else, walking around, blah blah blah, and it's okay.
Exactly. Like there's a guy who does Kermit the Frog. He walks around with a Kermit the Frog puppet and does, and I've seen him at a ton of conventions. Yeah, and he does like this Kermit thing and he's like, that's his stick. And I'm like, some days it's fun, some days it's, I could give or take it, but it's his thing and he's not hurting anybody, and let him have some fun, and it's some smiles, and he puts smiles on people's faces, and he runs into other Muppets fans, and it's like, hey, just let him have his day in the sun. And it's interesting. Although, given the fact that I know that somebody works for an automotive company, I really don't want to hear about all the problems they have putting even two pieces of paper together when they're building one of the fine automobiles that I might be driving one day.
Don't worry, our cars are not made of paper.
Okay, fair enough.
Just saying.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's been and I think that at its base, I love what superheroes and all our geekdom stands for being inclusive, and just
that's what most of well, most of comic books are about, especially Marvel comics in the early days. They created characters that were super inclusive. They're way ahead of their time. The X-Men was pretty well all about prejudice and being segregated, because they're different, right? And we've all accepted that. We love the X-Men and whatnot, and they made things kind of realistic, inclusive to everybody. Marvel comics were way ahead of their time.
Yep. I think all the comic companies, to a certain degree, obviously, and they're all in the demand to make money. So obviously, the more people you include, the more money you make, right? It's a business venture too. And I think most comic book companies, Marvel really knocked it out of the park with the X-Men, obviously. And they were way ahead with characters like Black Panther and the Falcon and stuff. And then DC came in with, Black Lightning and Cyborg and a lot of other things. And I think there's also a certain amount of diversity, you could even say, was introduced with somebody who's like the Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, so somebody who can change
their shape, who they are. Like, I don't even know if you call the Martian Manhunter a he anymore, right? Because you're dealing with alien, able to shift shapes and turn into animals and other forms. I don't know. Like, I think comics have always given us that belief that, as long as somebody has a good, pure heart, you sort of accept them, right? As long as they're trying to make the world a better place.
Yes.
And that's where I stand, right? Like, that's what I do at the Hero Mission, is try to, our motto here at the Hero Mission is putting capes in the sky, right? So
tell us about this Hero Mission now. What is it about?
Well, so it is my fervent belief, and I've published a book, Invisible Capes. It's on Amazon, Guide to Unleashing Your Superhero Within. I've spoken internationally about this. I've got a couple of YouTube channels. I've blogged about it. So I took my geekdom, my love of superheroes, and started applying it to real life, and just sort of said, well, why can't we all be superheroes? And then I sort of took, like, you'll notice in the background here that I have a picture of the Earth and like a big orbit, and you'll see it in a lot of the videos I do and stuff. And so I'm a big fan of that. There's that scene in.
Ooh, so it's not flat.
Yeah. There's a scene in Superman Returns with Brandon Routh where he's like floating above the Earth in orbit, and he's got his ears, he's just listening. He's got his eyes closed, and he's just listening to where he's needed most. And then he flies off and helps them. And a lot of my speaking engagements, a lot of seminars I run, and a lot of training and coaching I do, I talk about that moment and how, like, that should be you in your world. Now, your world may be, you may think like I do and think like, I've got to make this planet Earth, the best I can before I leave it. But your world could also be like your kids, your family, your pets, the people who answer to you at work, or the people who you work with or who are above you. Like you sort of have, everyone has their own world, and for you to be the superhero, to be that light and beacon of hope and inspiration, the person that shows others that it can be done, that you can have more and be more and do more, and just somebody who's always constantly helping and inspiring everyone around you to be better and showing that it can be done. I always think of like my darkest days, like the days that I've held a knife to my wrist, the days I've wanted to leave this planet early because I just hated myself so much. I've been in some very dark places years ago, and I think about from that point to the point I'm at now is almost like this amazing superhero origin story. Like there was a moment where all of a sudden I got hit with gamma rays, or a radioactive spider bit me, or all of a sudden my Kryptonian DNA kicked in, or the wizard found me and gave me his name to say, or something like that, right? So I really think that if you look at your worst day and could think of the best version of you, between the difference between those is almost super powered. Like that's a super powered version of you compared to your darkest, worst day.
No, so my best days are behind me. I used to be a superhero, so I've outlived that. Now I'm becoming a villain. It's, it's just the way it is.
Or are you just misunderstood?
I think so. I just want to take over the world, have people do my bidding, and get into like free concerts. That's all.
That's that. Well, that's that. There you go. That's admirable. I don't know.
No, really, you guys can still run everything. Just be nice to each other and give me free tickets to see WrestleMania, ringside seats, and all the concerts. That's all I want as world leader. Want to enjoy the perks,
That sounds awesome. I'm loving. I have to say, and I know because you're a wrestling fan too, and I know that probably it's really interesting how many people, how there's that overlap a lot with like people who love wrestling and people who are total nerds and into comics. Like there just seems to be this sort of binding of about 90% of both, audiences.
Well, yeah, wrestling is similar to superheroes, right? You got your heels, bad guys against the faces, the good guys, and you get to see them physically battle. They got storylines, right, where the bad guy does devious things all the time and the good guy has to try and overcome them. But in wrestling, sometimes the bad guys win, sometimes the good guys win, right? But when the good guys finally overcome, I mean, the payoff from the crowd is just fantastic. It's like, yeah, we finally beat that jerk.
Yeah. No, I've been watching wrestling probably, for a long time, since WrestleMania 2. So just after WrestleMania 1, I started watching it. I'm really finding it interesting right now to watch wrestling because I think I was talking about this with a friend of mine last week, that it almost seems like what COVID's done, because they're doing all the wrestling shows are on, but there's no crowd. It's almost seemed to level the playing field to a certain degree. Like you're not watching 400 people watch Impact and 30, 40,000 people watching Monday Night Raw with no crowd. It really boils down to the performances and the stories. And it's really kind of a neat thing where it doesn't look so Mickey Mouse. Like, that Impact's never going to draw the crowd volume that WWE does. But to have no crowd has seemed to almost seems like they're all filmed at the same place now, which is kind of neat to watch, because now I can just get into the wrestling and the storylines, and people are really shining. Like AEW is doing some fantastic work. Orange Cassidy may be my new favorite wrestler. He's been absolutely brilliant to watch. But but getting back to what I do, I've written my book. It's on Amazon. I've been going.
What's this Invisible Capes about? About being a superhero. Deep, originally I thought it was like you, injecting people with super serum and getting us all creating superheroes, but that's not the case, right?
Well, I mean, it's definitely just it's a book about, the book is about my personal story, where I've come from, where I am now, and it's also just all the wisdom I've learned from training with you know, training with guys from the military, training with Shaolin monks, my spiritual journeys I've had. And it's just about all the things I've learned, I've done, and just a lot of advice. Just I'm getting such amazing feedback about the book because people who read it are just like, it's incredible. Just the amount of things that I put in there just to help people, because some people just, they want something better in life so bad. They want to have a better life. They know that they can do more, that they could just, if they could just figure out how to get to that place or how to get out of the place they're in. And that's where I start with the hero mission is like, I spent a lot of time in the book just telling people what a blessing they are to the planet.
Froze up.
How they matter, how much like I don't care what you've done, I don't care who you've hurt, mistakes you've made, stuff you can make your life better, and you deserve to have an amazing life. You so deserve to have an amazing life. And that's what I want people to understand is how awesome there's superhuman potential in all of us. Like to just be so much more than we ever thought possible. And I think it was Steve Jobs who said that the people who change the world are the ones who are crazy enough to think they can. And you know, it's everybody that I read, all the books I read, all the podcasts I listen to, all the stuff that I just inundate myself with all the time. It's just important to get out there and get more people understanding that, you know, like you don't have to be stuck in life. You don't have to be at a place you don't want to be. There's so much information now. There's so many ways to help yourself become anything you want to be, anything. And there's so many great stories out there. My all-time favorite story, probably the person that and this shocks a lot of people, but one of the people that I absolutely love the story of is this not so attractive black weather woman who was told she doesn't have a face for TV. And Oprah's a billionaire now. Like there's like, when I see people who are like, well, there's somebody else holding me down. No, we're not living in that world anymore. We really aren't. We've seen people of so many different walks of life come from so many different places and achieve so many amazing things. Why don't you think you can be one of those people?
That's true. You got Karen says such a great message for you to share. She also said, I'm hearing someone else's journey can inspire change. But yeah, what you shared there with Oprah and whatnot, I was sadly brought up to like, you know, wait your turn, patience is a virtue and all that crap, thinking that, you know, someone will give me the chance. That's never happened. I mean, I didn't leap for it or run for it and grab it. Hence, I didn't get it. It was all those aggressive people that got it. I sadly listened to a lot of people that says, you'll never do this. Like at a young age, I was thinking of getting into wrestling. But then I heard, no, man, wrestlers got to be a certain height. And I'm like too short, so I won't even try. It's one of those things. It's like I've listened to what other people say, sadly, thinking they know what they were talking about. Because why else would you talk unless you know what you're talking about? And we've both learned that is not true. People are just loud because they are that way. And it's taken me a while to actually go after what I want.
Well, you should always go after what you want. There's two things I always like to tell people.
Last time I did that, I was reprimanded for stalking, but we won't get into that.
Geez.
Another story.
The two things I'd have to say about that is I'm sure, I don't know if you've ever heard about the crabs in a bucket theory, or the thing about crabs in a bucket.
No.
If you put a bunch of crabs into a large bucket, if one of them starts to crawl out of the bucket, the others will reach up and pull it back down.
Huh.
Yeah, there's a song called Crab in the Bucket, but that's kind of where it comes from. There is a thing that certain people, and I know this as a coach and as a speaker and all the people I've dealt with across, all the years that I've lived on this planet. There are people who just don't want to hear it. They're like, la, 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 I don't want to hear about change. I don't want to hear I can be better. La, la, la. My life is fine. Like, don't make me think that I can do better than, what I'm doing right now. I don't want to hear it. So one of the problems with people who do exponential growth, one of the problems with people who do go and do get those better things in life, who push themselves really hard, who get that discipline, who just go for it in life, is that there'll always be people who are like, oh crap, he did it or she did it, and they came from the exact same spot I'm at or worse. So they proved that I'm not living up to my potential. On some level, they don't want to see people around them succeed, because that means
you feel like a loser.
A mirror on them.
Well, yeah, I mean, when I see like a 15-year-old young boy or girl that's got a fantastic singing voice or doing cool stuff, I'm like, I've wasted my life. Because at such a young age, they're so, doing something so fantastic.
But that's another thing I talk about in the book. That is, if you were watching this and you think that it's about age, I started the Hero Mission 2 years ago. I'm about to turn 49. Actually, no, I started it, 4 years ago. And so I started at 45. You know who else started something at 45? Stan Lee created Spider-Man at 45. At 65 years old. What's that?
Was it at 45 he created them?
He was in his 40s when he created most of these characters that we watch today. In the 60s, he was in comics before that, but he didn't create, he was definitely up there in age. I think it was around 45. Colonel Sanders, classic example. He retired at 65 from selling insurance. He went door to door with his mother's chicken recipe and heard 1,000 no's before somebody said yes. And he was 65 years old. If you go and look at some of the greatest people who have walked this planet and some of the greatest inspirations who walked this planet, not everybody started when they weren't like 8-year-old geniuses. Like, it's really funny to me that how many people like I hear talk about money and finance and being wealthy, and they always bring up that guy who owns Amazon. But 1995 was a little over, 25 years ago? And he was, if you go on Google and Google Amazon first office, you'll see his first office. 25 years ago, that guy was working out of a garage selling books on a little website. Like, I don't think that there is, it's really interesting. I had a conversation with some friends of mine, I guess like last year on a podcast. We were all on a podcast together, and there was an interesting thing about where somebody said something about their age and, I wish I'd done this when I was younger. And I said, well, first of all, and I always tell everyone this, that question about like, what would you go back and tell your 18-year-old self? I would tell them nothing. I'm supposed to have all the ups and downs, all the peaks and valleys, all the nonsense and bull crap and the hard days and the dark places to get to the point where I could start the Hero Mission. So if I go back and the whole thing's different. It's the butterfly effect. It's the whole time travel thing we all read about in sci-fi magazines and see on Star Trek and Doctor Who. Can you go back and change this and talk to your younger self? I don't know. But I wouldn't go back and change anything because I am where I am and I'm supposed to be where I am. And it just, I think that most people are just so like, oh, I'm too old to do this. So say there's like a 1 in a million chance that somebody our age could go and put on a pair of wrestling boots, go train, when everything starts opening again, go to a wrestling school and headline WrestleMania in 2 years. Is there a chance that 1 in a million persons could do that?
Well, it depends who you are, how big you are, or what sort of gimmick or thing that happens. So
yeah, but is there a chance
in 2 years?
but 1 in a million per 1 in a million. Okay, so not headline WrestleMania, but be at WrestleMania, wrestle at WrestleMania. Is there a chance somebody our age starts wrestling school 2 years from now, they're in the WWE at WrestleMania in some sort of match?
In some sort of match, possibly.
Okay. So is that because it's one person who's the best out of a million? Or did the other 990,000 go, I'm too old. I can't do this. I'll never get there. I should have did this when I was younger. I'm not saying everybody's going to get to WrestleMania, but I'm just saying that there's age has always been that barrier that a lot of people get hung up on. You've done some amazing things since I've met you. I've seen you on shows and podcasts. I've seen you at Comic Cons. You've got a secret lair behind you. I mean, come on. You know, 30 years ago, you didn't have that secret lair, and I know that for a fact.
It's true. I didn't. It's a lot of
seriously, digging. One of the reasons I follow you is because you've carved yourself this really cool life, and maybe you wish it happened 30 years ago or 20 years ago or something like that. But I think it happened at the right time. I think you're doing amazing work right now. And I think there's still, like, I've seen you at, what, 2 or 3 now of those big things in Las Vegas where all the impersonators get together, and there's like the guy from The Walking Dead and all those other people. And it's really cool what you're doing. Like, there's also this thing where we sort of undersell ourselves all the time. Like, we're not doing great things. You're making the world a better place. You make people laugh. You bring entertainment. You get out there and you push as hard as you can just to have fun and make the world a better place. You bring a lot of light to the world. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that, but it's one of the reasons I love being your friend. Like, I honestly, it lights me up, and it gives me a warm spot in my heart when I get to see you at a con. Or
stop. You're embarrassing me. Keep going.
Well, you know.
No, thank you. I do like the positive feedback. I mean, if I can get at least one person to smile, then I think I've done my job. Because there's a lot of really bad things in the world happening, and yeah, it's kind of selfish. If I make someone smile, it kind of makes me happy. So it's pretty well for me. I mean, but if I was happy making you guys all miserable, I would do that. But that's not my thing. It's like no.
Yeah,
making y'all laugh. Yeah, that's my thing.
Yep, it's your thing.
It's my thing. Okay, it's what I do. Talk to the hand. See, but you and I are not so. We're not so different. You and I. Had we done this a couple days ago, I would have had my little goatee, and no one would have known who we were. We'd have been like twins. We could have like switched sides. It would have been, yeah.
Well, one of the cons will have to have an evil off.
That sounds kind of dirty.
Yeah,
have an evil off. Yeah, it's like.
All right,
I know.
Fair enough. All right, I'm the superhero here. I gotta hold myself to a standard.
Yeah. I'm a villain. I kind of like that villain thing, and that's the thing that goes with the wrestling as well. I like playing the villains and bad guys because I get to be not only is it me being obnoxious, but when at the end. When the payoff happens, the crowd is that much more happier, right? Because they see somebody that's a jerk finally gets what's coming to them, and if that's my duty, instead of like being the one doing the pinning or winning, is like my part is to make them feel happier about it. Then I'm all happy for that.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have good and bad, right? You got to have the yin and the yang. So.
Yeah.
No, it does make sense. Yeah, it's so anyways, that's kind of what I do at the Hero Mission. Is I just like I said, I do coaching and speaking, and I've got my book, and I've been doing a thing for 112 days now called the Super High Five at 5, where actually once a day I go on my Facebook. I go on my Facebook and my YouTube channel once a day, and I do I read from my book for 5 minutes. So I thought it would be kind of neat with all these people stuck at home and struggling with thoughts and feelings and stuff, that I would just go on and I read my book for free. Yeah, it's been awesome.
Ooh.
It's been a great experience.
So if we gather everything, then we can get your whole book, right? We just gotta it's just gonna 5 minutes a day. We can have your whole book recorded.
Yeah. Yeah, it's for me. It's not like, obviously, like I do believe in. I'm a big fan of capitalism. I'm a big fan of profits, but I'm also a big fan of giving back to the planet. And I think that's where a lot of people think that, you know, if you make money, you must be, you know, Mr. Burns or you know, somebody evil. But yeah.
You sold out, man. You sold out to everybody because you're making money. You jerk. You should be struggling down here with the rest of us. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one of these things, right? Like I always, I had somebody approach me one time who's like, well, you know, making money is wrong. You know, having too much money is wrong. And I said, okay, well, what would you do if you won the lottery tomorrow? And they're like, oh, money's wrong. And I'm like, no, but let's hear this out. Okay, so are you a big fan of animals? And they're like, yeah, I love rescue agencies. And I'm like, okay, so if you won $12 million tomorrow in some sort of lottery, so you'd be set for life. You wouldn't have a huge overhead because you live a simple life and you're not all about things and material. And then think of how much you could do with that extra money to, say, give to a rescue agency, or you could start your own, or you could buy a big, huge piece of property and go into a rescue agency and take all the animals and have like a barn and just spend the rest of your days feeding dogs and cats on your barn, right? Like it's,
oh God, thank goodness you said barn. When you were saying that, I thought you were going to say barbecue. I'm like, whoa, that just went.
That'd be but yeah, I mean, it's also money is just a tool, right? So being successful and having money is a great thing. But one of the reasons I'm just doing the book thing is just because I've got another book I'm writing. Like I've got other ideas for books. I'm always coming up. I'm always creative. I'm always making new things. And if all I got to do is give out a free video every day and people can watch it from episode 1 to when it's done and get my whole book for free, I just don't care. Like it's more important to make the world a better place.
And where can they see your videos?
I got a YouTube channel called The Hero Mission. You can also friend me on Facebook. You can go to my page on Facebook called The Hero Mission. They're on there every day. I post them at 5 a.m. every single day because I'm an early riser.
Okay, we're gonna. Oh, I can't spell, but YouTube.
YouTube. That's what you should make your own. That would be funny if you spelled it with an extra O. YouTube.
Did it again. I thought I fixed it. Jeez.
That's awesome. Man. That's awesome. Yeah. And I just like giving out and giving back. And there we go. Yeah, you can also find me on Facebook, The Hero Mission. I have a website, theheromission.com. You can go there and click on all sorts of stuff.
It's scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Yep.
Yep. Theheromission.com. Yeah, you can go there. There's extras from the book that are only available on the website. You can go and do those. You get to see goals lists and schedulers, and you even get to see my goals list, which is blows most people's minds. My goals list I do every morning, and yeah.
Like what? Give me an example of your goals list this morning that you did.
I do the same one every day. So what I do is I write it. I learned this from Grant Cardone. I learned 2 things from Grant Cardone reading one of his books. And if you don't follow Grant Cardone, you really should, because the guy just thinks on a whole different level. And it's pretty awesome. But so 2 things I learned from him is write down all your goals as if you've already done them. And the other thing is write down all your goals in huge, epic, like don't hold back. Because as he says it is, if you and I have a goals for money, we want more money, and you say, I want $10,000 more in the bank in the next 5 years. And I say, I want $1 million in the bank in the next 5 years. And both of us get halfway. Who's better off? He's like, never ever be afraid to write the crazy, big, huge, epic goals down. And what I've found as I started doing that process is over the years, those goals have actually happened. So a lot of my goals list is actually stuff because I've always written it as I've, that like I've already done it. So a lot of those goals have actually already happened. I have a goal like Heather, my wife, my amazing, wonderful wife. One of my goals is Heather and I vacation whenever we want, and we've been to space as a reward to ourselves and as a way to recharge and grow.
You went to space.
That's on the goals list. It hasn't happened yet, but I have to write it as it's something that I want to work towards, right? So now we've got Elon Musk, who's doing a lot with space travel. We've got Virgin, who's doing stuff with space travel. We've got the guy from Amazon's announced that he wants to do some space travel stuff. And like, can you imagine a guy who built a whole company off watching Brandon Routh as Superman in orbit around the Earth, having the chance to be in orbit around the Earth? And why wouldn't I? What's stopping me? Like, why can't I do it?
You're not Kryptonian.
What's different about? Yeah, why can't you do it? Why can't anybody who wants to do it? Like, throw it out there. If you look at my goals list and I accomplish half the stuff on that list, holy crap! I'm going to leave a legacy for my family. I'm going to inspire more and more people. The world's going to be an incredibly better place after I leave here. And what else do I want out of life?
Fair enough. That's those are some cool things. Write down your goals. Got to start doing that. I did that a little while. I wrote down things I had to accomplish during the day, and if I did that, it was cool. But proper goals, even if you don't know how to achieve them, just write them down.
Yeah. So what I did in my book, and I'll give you an exercise from my book that I went through, and this is really, really helpful because you and I are both the same. We have a lot in common that we know a lot of people. We're both the kind of people that know a ton of people, right? So here's a great exercise, and anybody who's watching this can do this. I want you to take a pen and a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle of the paper. Okay. On the left side of the piece of paper at the top, I want you to write the word what.
What? With a question mark or without? Does that matter?
It doesn't matter. Either or. On the right side of the top, I want you to write who. And then I'm going to give you an example. This may not be the example you want to go with, but I'm going to give you an example of how this works. And it's a really simple exercise, and it's going to change things for you drastically. On the left side where it says what, here's an example. I want to lose 20 pounds. I would write that under my what. What do I want? That's what it stands for. What do I want? What is a goal? What do I want to achieve? What? We're just putting that one word what. Now we've got the right side that says who. So I want to lose 20 pounds. Who do I know that is a nutritionist, a personal trainer, is in amazing shape, does runs, goes to the gym all the time, is a martial artist, anyone I know who's in that shape that I want to be. And this is as easy as it gets. All you have to do is contact the who and give them your what.
It sounds simple.
Yeah. My brother is incredibly successful financially. Like he's done such an amazing job of from where he came from to where he is now. He's an amazing story. Now, finances. I want to learn about what's my what might be. I want to be more financially successful. My who would be my brother. I call my who and say, I want to be more successfully financially. And then take lots of people don't understand. Most people who've achieved amazing things love helping people achieve those same things. I've trained in martial arts. I trained a bit in judo and karate when I was in high school. And then over the last decade, I've trained in Kung Fu, Tai Chi, Wing Chun, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, boxing for Ray. Ray was my first boxing coach. Like, I've never met anyone in the martial arts or combat world who doesn't want to help you know that. Like, I've never met a boxer who's like, I'm not going to teach you how to box. I've never met a Kung Fu guy or a Muay Thai instructor who's like, I don't share anything with anybody. No, everybody wants to share all the success they've had. They want to teach other people. They want, like, and even the rich and successful. Like, and here's another thing. So say it's finances, right? I now can put my what is, I want to be more successful financially. My who, because of books, podcasts, magazine articles, the internet, I can write Grant Cardone. I can write Oprah. I can write Tony Robbins. I can write Joe Rogan. I can write whoever I think of as a celebrity who's super financial. Somebody's interviewed them. They've been on a podcast. They may have their own podcast. They may have a newsletter they'll email you twice a day. And how hard is that? I mean, you can do that while we're talking. You can like Google, like, and that's the other thing about health. That's the other thing. It's the thing about health, wealth. It's the thing about well-being. I mean, the internet has opened us up to questionable stuff that maybe we shouldn't all be on the internet all the time, but it's also opened us up to this insane amount of information where I can go right now and start learning about theoretical physicists. I can go right now and start learning how atoms work, or how to become, where I start my journey to become a nurse, or where I start my journey to become an engineer, or how do I lose 20 pounds? Type how do I lose 20 pounds into Google. It'll give you more pages. You won't be able to read all the pages and read all the articles before you leave this planet. Like, it's a simple process. And as you can see from that piece of paper, like, we've broken it down for you. And how much simpler is that?
That's simple.
Yeah. That's what people don't understand.
Oh my gosh, Mike, that is simple. There's going to be an infomercial. Oh my gosh, Mike, I didn't realize how simple that was. You have already changed my life within the 2 minutes that I've talked to you.
Well, that's not all, Dr. Stiebel. If you order now.
And see that one coming, man. That was awesome. No, that's really good advice. But I will tell you everything you need to know except for the solution. That's when you got to pay the $999 for my book, part 1.
Yeah, and it's so simple. Like, I don't know. I my wife and I always talk about that, the fact that life is hard, but really when you break it down, when you break it down, it's simple. People think life is complicated. It's not really complicated. It's just hard. And it's ugly, but it's also beautiful. And it has amazing moments if you let it.
Just got to look on the bright side of life.
Yeah. Well, I think you just have to look on the honest side of life and realize that, everybody's going through stuff. You know, everybody's has hard days, and some people have what they think is harder than others, but I think everyone has it hard. And I think everybody just, life's never easy, but it's simple. You just got to sort of stop trying to make it complicated. If that makes sense.
It does. It does. I think my biggest enemy is right here, telling me that I've got great ideas going, let's fly. And then the other guy going, well, hold on. Just no. Just take it easy, dude.
Yeah.
Time to nap.
Yeah. And I honestly think like that's, if you read all the people who are successful in the world in whatever you think success is, they were all people who refused to listen to that little voice. Because we all have that little voice. I have that voice. Everyone I know has that voice that's like, you're not good enough. You'll never do it. Who do you think you are? And I'll tell you who you are. You are a blessing to this planet. You're an amazing child of God, and you deserve amazing things. Anyone, I mean, you, Dr. Stevel, anyone who's watching this, anyone who watches this later.
Keep going.
But it's just my firm belief. I really think that people are more amazing than they ever could even. You're more amazing than you even have a concept of. You're capable of so many amazing things, each and every one of you.
Yeah, I've noticed that when I first got to the Comic-Con industry, because there's a lot of talent making their own costumes, fantastic artists out there creating these new like drawing, creating these characters, creating these stories. And when I first went to these cons, I was more impressed and interested in these people than I forgot that they even had celebrities there. The first few times, I got to know most of the artists and the cosplayers before I realized, oh shit, you guys saw celebrities that were here? I didn't know that. So I was more interested in that because those are just like amazing people doing stuff that I never thought I could do.
Yeah.
And as you said, you're right. You told me that you're not too old to start anything. Well, I kind of like started in this wrestling thing as announcing as first because I had the Dr. Evil gimmick. And then because I wanted to, I got into managing. And that's something I never thought I would do at my age, like in the 40s, like starting out. So that was like a dream come true. And all the people that believed in me, I still thank them for it. I got to live a bit of a dream. My WrestleMania moment was somewhere else. I mean, it was like a crowd. It was an arena in the hero's hometown where me and my guy were like, his main heels. I mean, the little kids were just trying to abuse me. I mean, they had to set up special security so they wouldn't beat the hell out of me. But the crowd went wild for this character, Cody Deaner. He was fantastic. And that was my big moment because I've never seen anything so fantastic in my life, and I got to be a part of that. I hit my cues on the spot, and everything just went well. I never thought I'd be able to do that when I kind of gave up on it years ago.
Yeah, and it's those kind of things, right? Like I honestly, I'll let you in. I will let you in on a secret I have not shared with anyone but my wife. And I will let you in on the secret. Yeah, it's not one of those secrets. Don't worry.
Okay.
Next year, I turn 50 on my birthday. And for my 50th, I want two things. One, I want next year for my 50th to go out and grab myself my 67 Camaro SS Coupe that I've always wanted. And the other thing I want for my 50th birthday is I want to finally step in the ropes and wrestle one match.
All right. You got the what? Have you talked to the who?
Well, I am thinking that if we've got like just over a year, so hopefully things will open up and we get to some wrestling schools and stuff. But I am thinking about that if there is one person on this planet that I'm going to step into those ropes, in between those ropes, and put it all on the line against, that's right, I am challenging you, Dr. Stevel.
Yeah, that might be we'll make it a no disqualification match.
Really?
This way my boys can do the work while I sit back and have the pin.
Fair enough. All right, fair fair enough. But yeah, I mean, you know what? I think it's good to have dreams. I think it's good to keep pushing. And you know what? Like, obviously, I don't want a WWE contract. I don't want to be wrestling every weekend. I don't want to be out on the road all this time and doing all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I think I've always wanted a picture of me in a ring with my hand raised by the referee. And that's going to happen next year. So it's going to be fun.
That is cool. Karen says it's never too late to follow your dreams. They may change or have to be modified, but keep them alive. The only bad part about having you on the show, seriously, is that this girl Karen here is going to later tell me, I told you, you never listen to me, but he comes on and you're going to listen to him. I told you. Like, so I'm going to get that. So, yeah, she's listening now. So
yes.
So now I'm in trouble because I had you, a fantastic speaker, a great motivator, come on the show, and now I'm gonna. Yeah.
I'm sorry. My humble apologies, Dr. Stevel.
Oh, you'll get it in the ring, man. 1, 2, 3. You know how I suggest you practice for this match? You get in bed, you turn on the lights, and you look at the ceiling, because that's all you're going to see by the end of the match. You'll be looking up at the ceiling. And when your hand is raised by the ref, it's not because you won the match, it's because he's helping you up.
I'll be looking up.
Yeah, you will be. And when your hand is
I'll be
raised,
looking up at the ceiling?
Yeah, you will be. You'll be getting a participation plaque just for being there. And that is why your hand is raised, because he's holding you up from falling down after the beating that you're going to get.
From Dr. Stevel?
Pretty well. Or my minions. Either way.
Well, I'll tell you what. Mike Marvel will step between those ropes, and we will have some fun, my friend.
See, Karen says it's funny because it's true. She knows the beating I'm going to give to you. Actually, not really. What she's really
it's all right.
The beating she's going to give me, but I decided to twist that.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I'm glad we finally got around to this, my friend.
No, yeah, thank you. I not really know what to expect, but you've got a lot of good news and a lot of good, positive, inspirational messages out there. It was also fun reconnecting a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a blast. Like I said, like you've always been somebody I love running into at the conventions and talking to. You're always so much fun. I follow you on social media, so I love seeing your, well, not love, but I mean, it's interesting watching the drama cons and like.
I apologize for any drama I get into. It's never on purpose. I really don't try to. But sometimes I just don't know how to. It's like just not. I mean well.
I've never known you. I will go on record here that I have never ever seen you do or say anything inappropriate or offensive. I've honestly just seen you ask questions, state an opinion, and people don't want to discuss, or they want to take what comes out of your mouth the way they interpret it, right? I talk about that also in my book and speaking and coaching is like, it's just, the amount of people who I come to and I'm like, you can do better in life. You could have a better life if you really wanted to. And then I get greeted with, well, you don't understand. You weren't there. You don't know what it's like. And I'm like, yeah, no, I never said that I knew what it's like, and I never said that I understood. I'm just like, no matter where you are, like I've seen people in really bad situations and really bad, like, I mean, it's the classic examples of like people, no matter what their age, people, no matter what their sex, people, no matter where they come from, like where they were born or what color their skin is, have raised to be like incredible influencers and people who just inspire so many. So I just don't, there's so many people who just, they don't know the difference between a reason and an excuse. And they just want to stay in their little bubble and be like, well, that's not possible to do. I can't do that. Well, yeah, well, that guy, like, classic, amazing story. Okay, so a guy in Canada got cancer, lost his leg, and then ended up running across the country and becoming one of the greatest inspirations in Canadian history as he raised money. Like, Terry Fox is an amazing story. Like, there's so many people out there who are doing more with less. And I think that some people just won't, and other people just want a fight. Some people just want to argue, and they want to, like, I've seen you ask like the simplest, nicest, kindest way possible, just a simple question, and people just losing their minds. And it's not just you, it's just people in general, right? It's like, different opinion, must run.
Yeah, I find that to be a form of bullying, which is, I kind of submitted to that in a younger, in my earlier years, in grade school and high school and whatnot. Hence is why I'm not too much of a people person when it comes to large crowds. Unless, of course, I'm hiding as an evil genius and trying to get revenge on all of them, but that's a different story. And to find it's coming back and people are trying to bully again, it's like, I don't like that. And if they can keep doing it, then they're going to get away with it. People say, take the high road, Steve. Well, okay, I do, but then that next person is going to be bullied again. That's not fair to them.
Yeah.
So this last time the guy decided to publicly try and slander me, so let's call him out there. And he can answer any questions to anyone that he chooses to. But the fact that he is like making stuff up, and I edited nothing, just placed everything out there for people to judge themselves. You guys make the decisions. If you think that I'm out of line, then you have every right to be, and no problem. I'm like that. Well, let's throw everything out there. I have nothing to hide. This way, I don't have to remember anything I made up.
Exactly. And it's just silly. I don't know. It's just people are
maybe it's their hero mission. Their hero mission is different from yours. Their hero mission is to say, look, I've done something good. Or here, I got a picture of me feeding the homeless. Really?
Yeah.
I kind of did that without taking the selfie. Darn it. I feel bad now that I didn't take a photo of it.
Yeah, social media has definitely done some weird things to us all. But yeah, it's just, I just find that just so many people are just, and nobody wants to have a discussion. Like, it's almost like we've reached that point where it's like a superhero, like a superhero comic book, where it's just like you fly in and punch anybody you don't know. Like, that's kind of how the whole thing starts, right?
Let's punch a Nazi, but he's not a Nazi. Like I don't care. He looks like one. Boom.
Yeah, it's just, and it's a lot of slander. It's a lot of name calling. It's a lot of insinuations. Like, okay, like, there's nothing wrong with what you said about those statues. I read the comments because I was like, okay, well, what's going on here that this person's
up
so
to now again, right?
Well, not what you're up to now, but like, well, why is this person calling you this? Because I've never known you to be a racist. Like, I've never seen you be like, well, I'm only going to take photos and talk to the white people. Like, I've never seen that side of you, right? Like, or I only talk to guys. I don't talk to women, or I don't talk to, like, I've never seen you not be inclusive with who you talk to. And like, I've never seen you care about those kind of things. So to me, it was like, well, why are you getting attacked for this? And you're like, well, these people shouldn't have done. I can't believe these people did this, especially considering like they're not teenagers making a mistake. And I mean, when we were teens, we did silly things, and we may have done the wrong thing at the wrong time and then later regretted it. But these are people who should, at this point, you would hope, be making better decisions, right?
Or it's like, hey, I don't like that. There's a way to do it. You talk to people. I mean, BC, British Columbia, Victoria, John A. Macdonald statue was taken down. That was done legally. They didn't want it there. Some people protested, but now those people probably forgot about it because it has no impact on their lives. and that was done legally, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That can be done here as well.
I think if there's an open dialogue and discussion, and it comes out that, yeah, you know what, that is probably the best course of action, that we take that thing down or change that name or do whatever, then yeah. I just think there's a lot of stuff that's being done because people are really kind of out of whack too. Like, it's interesting because there's all sorts of jokes going around with COVID going on about, like, how do we listen to the doctors and the scientists, or do we listen to the store clerk on Facebook, right? Like, who knows? Like, why does this guy on this grainy video on YouTube say he knows the real story about COVID? Watch this before they take it down, right? Like, all this nonsense. And I'm like, well, why don't we listen to doctors and scientists? They studied this. This is what they do for a living. I know they're as new to this as us, so they're probably going to make some mistakes and be like, okay, we got to do this. Oh, shoot, we're a little off. We got to readjust to here. And I get it, because they're learning as they go too. But they're also people like, I didn't ever do well in science in high school. So why would I get on and start telling people that I know more than a scientist or a doctor? That's not what I've ever studied. So why not leave it to the people who really know what they're talking about? And I also think that in the same way we do that with science nowadays, that somebody can be like, well, I read an article on Facebook and I saw a YouTube video, so I know the most about COVID. I've never studied science and I failed it in high school, but I know because I saw that video on YouTube before they took it down. I think we do the same thing. We're starting to do the same thing with history.
We are.
It's like, I don't want to read it. I just want you to tell me what's wrong about it, and I'll go and I'll jump on the bandwagon and we'll go there together. Right? Yeah. It seems like a cool place, and I want to get out of the house anyways, so let's grab some spray paint and go.
It's also, people are cooped up. They've got a lot of energy, and they want to release it. So here we are, where this is a good time. Riot, destroy things. I've got this energy. I feel like I got to do something, and that could also be possible explanation for some of this behavior.
Yeah. And it's just nuts. Like, I don't know what. I think there's so much underlying on it, and I think there's so many people now who can't slow down, breathe, and have discussion. I don't agree with you on that subject, but let's talk about it. And an interesting thing that I noticed a couple months ago, and I've been talking about it with some people, is just that it used to be like, okay, so there's always been people who are very left-leaning and people who are very right-leaning, and some people who are just kind of in the middle, and they sort of do this a bit, right? Like, where they, some subjects they lean right, some subjects they lean left, but they're generally in the middle. But there's always been left and right people and stuff like that. But why is it so hard for us to get along and communicate now? And I think what's happening is there's a dehumanization, a depersonalization of people. So if you look on certain people's social media platforms, like, I now notice that there's certain people on my friends list who don't post, hey, I was over at a barbecue, or I went this place on vacation, or here's my dog is being silly in the backyard. All they post is their left-leaning view or their right-leaning view. So if all I know about you is your politics, and I never get to know you as the person, I can't just put that over here for a second and get to know, hey, who's your favorite band? What's the best memory you've ever had as a teenager in summer? Like, where did you go to college? Did you go to college or university? If so, where? What, who, do you have any siblings? Do you have kids? Did you come here from another country? Did you, like, where have you worked? What have you done? Tell me about you. Let's just leave that over here for now, because we both know that my stuff's over here and your stuff's over here, because we lean two different ways. But let's just put that to the sides, and let's just get to know each other.
Just find a common ground.
And more, because now if I know you, Steve, and I've seen you and I've interacted with you and we've gone out for a pint or a cup of coffee and we've talked about life and who our favorite superheroes are, and you like Marvel and I like DC and why and yeah, and we've watched we've talked about our favorite Austin Powers scenes, and we've had these conversations, and yeah, like I think once we have that human bond, and then we start bringing politics in, or our views on whether they lean left or right, it becomes easier to have a discussion because I have a common ground with you. I know you as a human being. I know, like, if you're a dog or a cat person, if you like sunsets or sunrises, if you want to vacation in a cabin in the woods or on a beach in Acapulco, like, I have these things I know about you, so you're not just a guy on the left, or not just a girl on the right, or not just your politics. You're a person, a human being in front of me. And so now it becomes easier for us to be like, oh, well, why would you think, and I'm throwing this out there, it's not something I agree or disagree with, but like, if I was like, so why do you think, it becomes easier to have a conversation about, why do you think that statue should come down? Why do you think universal basic income is a great thing? Why did you support Trudeau? Why did you like Scheer? Why are you an NDP now? Like, all of a sudden it becomes easier and calmer. But if we're just focusing on like left and right politics, and that's all I know about you, then we're just going to keep butting heads.
Oh, for sure. Some of these people that when I've talked to live, just we're talking like we are now, you can see in the tone of their voice and what they say, it's more understandable. But when someone's writing something on text, I believe you're reading it in the how you're feeling at the moment. Let's say like I have a really bad day and someone types something, so like, I kind of read it because I'm in a bad mood. I was just like in the car and I get this text. And I don't like it. I'm not a big traffic fan. Or if I'm in a real happy mood and I see something, I was like, yeah, that's funny. It could have been the same comment. It's a different time and different situation. I believe somehow that's how people are taking things. They don't see the tone of what's being typed.
Yeah. I actually had a Twitter feed, I wrote a comment on Twitter a couple of years ago, and it was something about, I wrote a little comment about how I've noticed there's so many people, like I have a friend of mine in the States who says when we first met, I was like, hey, do you like superheroes? He goes, I love superheroes. I'm like, well, what did you read growing up? And he goes, I've never read a comic. I've seen all the movies. Like, I love all the Avengers and Iron Man and all the movies and stuff. And I'm like, oh, like it was the first time I equated somebody who was really into superheroes and yet had never read comics. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, and then I was like, I'm kind of getting this elitist feeling where I'm like, I've been reading comics for 40 years. Superman's going to be 80 soon. Like, oh my gosh, you don't deserve to be at a fan expo with the rest of us who've been reading comics. I was stuffed in a locker with my comics at the age of 10, like, and it's, but I made this post on Twitter, and I got people just poured on me like hate about like, how dare I, and who cares where superhero fans come from, and all this just crazy amount of hate. And then I went back and I was like, oh my God, like, what do these people hate about what I said? Like, I don't think it was that bad. And then I went right back a few days later and I read what I'd written, and I realized that I had written it in a way that could be misconstrued that I was being an elitist, where that's not what my post was about. So then I edited the tweet and then went into like the feed of messages and tweeted there that, listen, I'm really, really sorry. I actually tweeted something that wasn't on my heart. I didn't mean to write those, the words I had written had come out wrong. And I understand why there's this confusion. These people are, and that some of you are upset. I apologize to those I've upset. And I put this apology tweet just sort of stating my case. And a bunch of people after that started tweeting like, who apologizes on Twitter? Like, what are you doing? Like, oh my God, dude, you're like being so nice. Like most people are just like, okay, you attack me, I'm going to attack you. And then we'll just get this big battle of tweets and words. And social media is a weird place some days.
It's weird. And when someone comments to you, it's like, why are you apologizing? It's like, dude, that's the decent thing to do. And, when you find out you made an error, you go and do that. You don't just like stand by, oh, I made a mistake a long time ago and I'll just stand by it. No, that's
yep.
Okay.
Karen
says you bring up the great point about people about getting to know people aside from just their politics. It may lead to your friends list decreasing, but remaining friends will be more likely enjoyable or interact with.
Yep. Yeah, in my book, I mentioned there's 3 phrases that every human being has to use to live a much better life. And they're really simple phrases. Never be afraid to say, I love you. Never be afraid to say, I'm proud of you. And never be afraid to say, I'm sorry. If those 3 things can slip out of your mouth very easily, those around you and yourself will have a much better life.
Yeah, I keep saying I love you to my chocolate, and that's kind of not putting me in my goal of losing 20 pounds. So just depends who I say it to, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. I do have to get going to work because I've got the night shift all this week. About 9 to 10 hours.
Thank you so much. This has been a blessing. I really enjoy always talking to you, and I've loved being on the show today.
This is fun. It's also inspiring right now. Let's hope this inspiration lasts instead of like, I wake up tomorrow and go, because you know how you're inspired by something and then it's like, that's great. It's great. You get all energetic and then the next day you wake up and go, I'll do it later, and then it just fades. I hope that doesn't happen. I will try and make a list of stuff, for myself improvement, because right now I'm in a place where I need to move in a certain direction. Not sure what yet, but it's got to move.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you message me when you wake up tomorrow morning? I'm up at 4 a.m. So message me when you get up, and
I won't be sleeping. I'll be coming back from work at 4 a.m.
All right. So when you get up from your sleep tomorrow, message me, and I will help you along on your journey.
All right. Or I can just come visit the comic shop in Port Erie sometime.
Yep, that is true too.
That'd be a lot better than sitting on the computer. That's the way I like to do things. But
that's fair enough. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Karen. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for watching. I hope everybody got something out of this. I'm Mike Pickett from the Hero Mission. Thank you. As always, my friends,
let's do that morning high five. Ready? High five. Oh, hold on. Boom. One more time. On 3. On 3. 1, 2, 3. 2. Boom.
I'm just going to hold it out there.
Yeah, we sucked at that. Anyways, we'll practice. See you later.
All righty, brother. Take care, man.